What if your life didn't begin at birth? What if your story didn't start with your name, your parents, your childhood? What if you are older than you think? There are moments that reveal it. The déjà vu that shakes you. The dream that feels like memory. The stranger who feels like family. Whispers of something ancient. Something carried across lifetimes. Most people ignore them. They call it imagination, coincidence, nonsense. But the soul knows. It remembers. It carries scars and wisdom. Too deep to belong only to this life. And if you've ever wondered, have I walked this path before? You are not alone, because every so often the veil thins and the truth of who you are rises through the cracks. This is not superstition. It's not fantasy. It's the secret history of the soul. And in this journey, you will discover the signs that you are not living your first life. You are continuing a story written across centuries. And the question is not whether you've been here before. The question is, will you awaken to it now? Have you ever walked into a place you had never been before, and yet it felt familiar? A street that feels like memory. A stranger's face that feels like recognition. A silence that feels like return. These are not accidents. They are echoes, whispers of lives your soul has carried, long before this one began. The mind tries to explain it away. Coincidence, imagination, déjà vu. But deep down, you know. Because the feeling is too real, too heavy, too precise to be dismissed. It's as if the soul is saying, I have been here before. I have known this path. I have walked in other bodies, under other skies. This is the first sign of the reincarnated soul, the presence of memories without a source. They arrive uninvited, in fragments, in sensations, in a knowing you cannot trace to this lifetime. And they remind you, you are not just the story of today. You are the continuation of countless yesterdays. The echo of old lives doesn't appear to everyone. But when it does, you can't ignore it. Because once you've heard the whisper of your own eternity, no silence in this world will ever sound the same again. Sometimes the soul carries fragments, like shards of a story that doesn't belong to this life. Dreams that feel more like memories, visions that come without warning, moments when the past intrudes, as if the veil between lifetimes had thinned. Children often reveal it first. They speak of places they've never seen, describe people they've never met, tell stories of deaths they never lived. Most dismiss it as imagination, but the soul doesn't forget. It remembers in whispers. Even as an adult, you may have flashes, a smell that pulls you back into a century long gone, a melody that breaks you into tears, though you've never heard it before. These are not accidents. They are imprints, remnants of journeys your soul once walked. The weight of these memories can be heavy, because how do you explain pain with no cause? How do you explain grief for someone you never knew? The truth is, your soul has carried more than one story, and some of those stories still echo inside you. But here's the gift. These memories are not meant to trap you. They are meant to awaken you, to remind you that you are not a single chapter, but an entire book, and the ink of old lives still stains your soul. The question is not whether you've lived before. The question is, are you listening to the echoes that still speak now? Some souls arrive carrying knowledge they never learned here. Children who speak with the clarity of elders. Strangers who seem to understand life's mysteries without ever having studied them. It's not education, it's remembrance. Wisdom beyond your years is one of the clearest signs of an old soul reborn, because true wisdom doesn't come from books. It comes from experience, from scars carried across lifetimes, from lessons learned again and again, until they sink deep into the soul. Have you ever met someone who seemed to see through the illusions instantly, who carried patience like it was second nature, or kindness that felt ancient? That's not chance, that's memory, the wisdom of centuries, shining through a body only decades old. And maybe you've felt it in yourself, the advice that rises unbidden, the instinct to guide others, though no one ever guided you, the ability to endure storms with a calm that surprises even you. This is the soul speaking, not with words, but with presence. The world may call it talent, they may call it maturity, but you know it is something deeper, because you've lived long enough, across time, across forms, to carry truths that cannot be erased. Wisdom beyond your years is not proof of who you've been. It's preparation for who you're becoming, and the soul never forgets its own strength. Have you ever met someone and felt like you'd known them forever? A glance that feels like recognition, a handshake that feels like reunion, a stranger's voice that stirs emotions too strong to explain. These are not coincidences. They are soul connections, threads carried across lifetimes. Some call it instant chemistry, others call it fate. But the truth is simpler and more mysterious. Souls travel in groups. They leave, they return, they find each other again, because the lessons are too vast, too complete in one life. So the soul arranges encounters, not new, but remembered. This is why some relationships feel ancient, why you can trust someone within hours, or feel resistance without reason. The soul recognizes what the mind cannot. It remembers the bonds, the betrayals, the promises carried through time. And while not every connection is soft, every connection is sacred, because whether in love or in conflict, these meetings awaken you. They remind you of who you've been and who you are still becoming. Deep soul connections are not accidents. They are alignments. They are meetings written long before this lifetime began. And when they happen, you don't just see a person. You see eternity staring back at you through familiar eyes. Have you noticed how certain patterns repeat again and again? The same struggles, the same mistakes, the same wounds dressed in different faces. It feels frustrating. It feels unfair. But beneath the surface, it carries a deeper truth. These are not random cycles. They are unfinished lessons. The soul carries forward what was left unresolved, the anger never released, the forgiveness never given, the courage never chosen. Until you face them, they return. Lifetime after lifetime, they wait for completion. This is why some fears feel ancient, why certain challenges weigh heavier than reason allows, because they are not just this life's struggles. They are echoes of what the soul left undone. But here's the gift. Unfinished lessons are not punishments. They are invitations. Each cycle is a doorway. Each repetition is a chance to respond differently, to break the chain, to end the pattern, to set the soul free. And when you finally meet the lesson with awareness, when you choose differently than before, the weight dissolves, the cycle ends, the soul exhales, the unfinished becomes complete. And with it, you move closer to remembering why you returned at all. Have you ever felt drawn to a place you've never visited? A country, a city, a landscape that stirs something ancient in you, as if your soul remembers the ground beneath your feet, even when your body has never touched it. This is one of the clearest signs of reincarnation, the pull toward certain places. You feel at home in languages you never learned. You feel nostalgia for cultures you've never lived. You feel the ache of belonging to somewhere your passport has never named. The soul remembers. It carries the vibration of temples, of mountains, of rivers that once witnessed your life. And when you feel that magnetic pull, it is not fantasy, it is memory, a compass pointing you back to yourself. If this message resonates with your inner journey, you may be ready to go deeper. I've created a 19-day journal called The 19-Day Awakening. It's not just pages. It's a sacred space for reflection, healing, and inner transformation. You'll find it in the first pinned comment below when the time is right. Because the pull toward certain places is really the pull toward your own soul. And every step you take to honor that memory is a step closer to awakening, to who you've always been. Not all memories return as light. Some return as shadows, fears with no origin, phobias that make no sense, pains that medicine cannot explain. They linger like ghosts, not born in this life, but carried from another. The soul remembers what the mind forgets, and sometimes that memory shows up as a wound, the terror of drowning in someone who has never touched deep water, the fear of fire in someone who has never been burned, the pain of abandonment in someone who has never been left. These are not accidents. They are echoes. Old wounds do not come to punish you. They come to be seen. They come to be healed. Because until they are faced, they bind the soul. They weigh it down with unfinished sorrow. When you begin to honor them, something shifts. The fear softens. The pain lessens. The shadows lose their grip. Not because you erased the past, but because you embraced it. And in that embrace, you discover the hidden truth. The wounds of the past are not just scars. They are gateways. Gateways into deeper compassion, deeper resilience, deeper awakening. Because when the soul heals what was carried for lifetimes, it doesn't just free the past, it frees the future. Some souls wake with a weight on their chest, not of sadness, but of purpose. A quiet urgency, a knowing that life is not random, that you did not come here simply to survive. You came with a mission. It may not be clear, it may not have words, but it beats in the background of your days, like a drum only your soul can hear. You feel it when injustice angers you more than most. You feel it when compassion breaks your heart wide open. You feel it when silence calls louder than noise. This sense of mission is another sign of the reincarnated soul, because old souls return, not to repeat, but to complete. They carry wisdom, they carry wounds, and they carry the fire, to serve something larger than themselves. Mission is not always grand. It may not be fame, it may not be power. Sometimes it is a word spoken at the right time. Sometimes it is kindness given when no one is watching. Sometimes it is simply walking with truth in a world built on lies. But you feel it, the pull to live for more than yourself, the pull to honor a calling that echoes from lifetimes past, and until you answer it, no comfort will ever feel complete. Because the soul doesn't rest in safety, it rests only in truth. Have you ever felt drawn to a time you never lived? A fascination with ancient Egypt? A longing for the Middle Ages? A connection to music, symbols, or rituals that have no place in your current story? These are not random interests. They are signs, echoes of chapters your soul once walked. For some it comes as passion. They study a period of history with devotion, as if remembering. For others it comes as resistance, an era that unsettles them, a place in time that feels heavy, almost unbearable to touch. Both are clues. Both are imprints of memory. The soul does not forget. It carries the fragrance of cultures, the rhythm of languages, the weight of wars and celebrations etched into its being. And every so often those patterns break through. A sudden affinity, a sudden aversion, a recognition without explanation. This is the soul reminding you. You are not bound by one story. You are a mosaic of many lives, many times, many selves. And when you feel those patterns stirring in you, don't dismiss them. Follow them. They may reveal the unfinished lessons, the hidden strengths, the deeper truth of who you've been. Because history is not just what you read. It's what you remember. And the soul remembers everything. In the end, every sign points to one truth. You are not just this body, not just this name, not just this fleeting story. You are a traveler, a soul moving through lifetimes, returning again and again until the lesson is complete. Reincarnation is not punishment. It is mercy. It is the universe giving you another chance to love where you once closed your heart, to forgive where you once clung to anger, to rise where you once fell. And maybe you felt it already, the echo of old lives, the wisdom beyond your years, the pull of unfinished lessons, the strange belonging to places you've never been, These are not accidents. They are reminders that your story is older than you think, and your future stretches farther than you can see. The eternal return is not about fear. It's about awakening, because once you realize you've walked before, you begin to walk differently now, with more patience, with more courage, with more love. And perhaps the most important question is this: if you have walked this path many times before, how will you choose to walk it now? Because every choice you make today is the seed of a tomorrow your soul will one day return to. Reincarnation is not just a belief. It is a rhythm, a cycle, a return. Your soul has walked before. It has loved before. It has lost before. And it has carried every scar and every gift into this life you now hold. The signs are everywhere. The echoes of old memories, the wisdom beyond your years, the unfinished lessons that knock again and again, the connections that defy logic. They remind you, you are not a single lifetime. You are eternity, wearing a temporary face. But here is the real question. What will you do with this life? Will you repeat the cycles, or will you complete them? Will you walk in fear, or will you walk in truth? Because the soul will return as many times as it must, until the lesson is lived, until love is chosen, until awakening is embraced. So as you leave this video, don't just wonder about past lives. Ask about this one. Ask how you will honor the story you're writing now. Because one day, your soul will return to it. If these words stirred something inside you, don't let them fade. Subscribe, share your truth in the comments below, and turn on notifications. Because this is only the beginning of the journey. The soul remembers. And when you remember with it, everything changes.